Okay, here we are with track number 5. The chords are a little bit unusual for this for a blues, but it's Blues Jam Session 3, so we've tried to take it a little bit further than the previous 2. Okay, let's look at the chords and then we'll discuss the format and the rhythm. First chord is going to be G13. Okay, now we have 8 on the A string, we have 9 on the D, 9 on the G, 8 on the B. Okay, now you notice there's no G at the bottom there, but that's fine, as we've discussed before. The bass player is going to provide that G. Okay, then the next chord we're going to look at is A13, which is exactly the same shape, but just moved up 2 frets. But I'll go through it as it's a little bit of an unusual one. 10 on the A, 11 on the D, 11 on the G, 10 on the B. Okay, and again, same idea with the A in the bass. Then the next chord we're going to look at is going to be B7. Okay, we've looked at it before, but we'll just do it real quick. 7 on the low E, that's going to be 9 on the A. That bar is going to take care of that 7 on the D. Second finger takes care of that 8 on the G, and the bar takes care of the 7 on the B and the high E. Then we move that down a tone to get A7, exactly the same shape. Okay, then within the song that'll go back to the G and then back to the B7 for a bar. Okay, the rhythm pattern is going to work in a sort of funky way that we've been doing so far, and here's going to be the rhythm. Okay, so hopefully you've noticed it's ba 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 da da ba da 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 da. And as always, every time we want the note or the chord to sound, we press our left hand down. And remember, with these rhythms, you don't have to nail the exact thing every time. If you vary around a little bit, that's quite acceptable. Okay, so I'll play along with the backing track and I'll try and vary it around a little bit to show you how that kind of thing would work. So hopefully what you saw me do there was play around the chords using that rhythm we discussed with a few variations. And there's a little phrase on the last bar that you can do if you like, which is the going along with the drums and the bass. Okay, we're looking at some lead things here. Now, when you hear this particular blues, you might think it sounds a little bit unusual, starting with this G13 as our first chord. Now, without getting into a lot of jazz theory, this G13 chord is actually a substitution for E and E9. It can be a substitution for either E9 or E minor, but it's a substitution for E7 or E9, okay? And that's why you notice that we have an A and a B in there with it, instead of having that, because a regular blues would have that E as the first chord, it would move up to the A, then to the B, then to the A, then to the E, okay? We have a substitution being this G13. Now, normally, if it was a blues in E, we'd be able to use a regular E minor pentatonic idea. But what we're going to use for this G13 13 chord, okay, is G major pentatonic, which is actually the same notes, okay, as E minor pentatonic, but its strongest note that you kind of bounce off, if you like, is not E, it's G. Normally in a regular E minor pentatonic deal, that E would be rest. You'd be sort of travelling around the village of life. But when you get home, that's your note. But in this case, because we're playing a G13 instead of the E, our home note is going to be the G instead. So all your regular kind of E minor licks will work, but just make your rest point that G, okay, and that's called a major pentatonic scale. We'll just run through it quickly. 15 on the low E, then we go 12 to 14 on the A, 12 to 14 on the D, 12 to 14 on the G, we go 12 to 15 on the B, 12 to 15 on the high E. Okay, so for the format, this G13 is going to be around for the first 4 bars. And this is where we're going to play this major pentatonic scale. Now, the 2 bars that follow this are going to be A13, that same chord moved up, okay? And we're going to take this same scale and we're going to move it up 2 frets, exactly the same shape. Okay, then when the G13 comes around, we're going to move back to our original one. Now when the B7 comes up, we're going to move the A1 up 2 frets, over the A, back to the A1. Then when the G13 comes around again, back to the G1. And then move back up to the B1 for the last bar. Or if you don't want to make that jump, just find that B note. Or it's there, okay? So basically what we're doing is we're taking this scale, moving it up, okay, so we just take the same shape and we move it up, and that's how it works. Okay, so you've got the format, you know the scales to play over the chords. Let's have a little demonstration. Okay, hopefully what you saw me do there was use these 3 major pentatonic scales, just moving up symmetrically to take care of the chords. Now, if you want to take it a little bit further, you can use what's called a mixolydian scale on each of the chords. Now, the easy way to find out this mixolydian scale is actually by just adding 2 notes to the pentatonic scale that we just learned. So here's our G major pentatonic. Okay, so if we want to make that G mixolydian, we have to add an F note, okay, and a C note. So now the scale will be so let's just do it from the bottom upwards and I'll give you the notes. Okay, so we have 15 on the low E, then we go 12, 14, 15 on the A, 12, 14, 15 on the D, 12 to 14 on the G, we go 12, 13, 15 on the B, and 12, 13, 15 on the high E. Now what we do, we can use that exact same scale, obviously in the other keys on the other chords. So it'll be A mixolydian for the A, okay, and B mixolydian, okay, for the B. So let's play a solo now, demonstrating, taking this a little bit further using the Mixolydian scale for each chord. Okay, so I used the Mixolydian on each chord there, and the other thing I did, just part of a natural playing, and what I do try to not do is leave out things that I would normally do, you know. I mean, obviously I'm trying to, for the purpose of teaching, stick to what I'm trying to teach you, but if some other little things come out that I would do in this normal format, then I'd rather tell you what they are, obviously, because you're going to notice them. And the only thing that I did there, which was slightly different, I played the Mixolydian scales as I always would. But what I did was put some chromatics in, which is quite normal for me, and I'll just quite often go between 15 and 12 chromatically. I'll quite often go between 15 and 12 on the B, and sometimes between 15 on the G there, okay? And I try and mix it up, so if I'm playing... up to A. And then what I might try and do is go chromatically down to the next chord. So if I'm on the A, back to the G, okay? And that's what I tend to do with the chromatics.